Hey guys, welcome to my Samoan language instruction on plural verbs and adjectives. So today we're going to be working on taking our singular forms of verbs and adjectives and making them into plural forms of those same verbs and adjectives. So in English there's a thing called subject-verb agreement, and in English we often change the form of a verb depending on whether the subject or doer is singular or plural. For example, the girl goes to school. Okay, this is the singular form of that. So I have a singular subject, the girl, that is my singular subject, and then I also have a singular form of the verb go. So that's goes, okay? And both of those are singular, and so that's why they agree with each other. So that makes this sentence agree with each other, and this is what makes it sound right. Is both my subject and my verb are both singular, okay? So if I go to the plural side of things, this is the girls go to the school. So I have both a plural subject or doer, and I have a plural version of the verb, okay? And so that's what makes this sentence sound right, and that's basically saying that I have subject-verb agreement, and we'll get on to the adjectives later. So what I'm saying here is that subjects and verbs must agree with one another, okay? So I need to have either a singular subject that has a singular verb, or I need to have a plural subject that has a plural verb. And this is what makes that subject-verb agreement that we're talking about, okay? And so in Samoan, okay, we do this in English. In Samoan, we also do this. Many Samoan verbs have plural forms which are used with plural doers, okay? So I haven't talked to you about this point. You've seen it a little bit here and there in some of the videos, in previous videos. But now we're going to be discussing it together and working on that, okay? So there's a number of ways to pluralize our verbs in Samoan, okay? So the first is I double the accented syllable, okay? So you'll know I have in the first column my singular, and in my second column I have the plural, and then in my third column I have the English translation, okay? So the singular way to say live, stay, or sit in Samoan is nofo, okay? Is nofo, okay? But the plural form of that is nanofo, okay? So I have a singular and a plural form of these, and it will cause a little bit of memorization on your part, but this will give you that subject-verb agreement that we were talking about in our last slide, okay? So then I also have a singular version of eat, which is I, and then my plural version of that is I, okay? So if you wanted to say, I will eat, then you'll use the singular version because you're talking about a singular subject. I is one person, a singular person. I will eat, so you use I. If I wanted to say, we will eat, we is a plural form of a subject, and then I also need to use a plural verb with that, and so that is I, okay? That is I in this case in Samoan. Awesome. So then we have moi, which is sleep, and then we have mamoi, okay? So as you noted, I just added another, or I doubled the accented syllable, and so I added another mo, so mamoi, okay? Mamoi. And in this case, I added another no for the first one, and then in this case, I added another a, because it depends on the syllable and the accented syllable, and you need to double that, okay? So depending on the word, it'll depend on what kind of accented syllable, okay? So if there's no glottal stop, you usually just find and you add a second of these. So for mo, I'll add a second mo, so mamoi, okay? But when I have a glottal, I usually just add another letter. I don't add another two letters, okay? So in this example, my singular version of play is ta'alo, and the plural version of that is ta'alo, okay? I have a glottal in this singular verb, and so I will just have to add, usually at least, I will just add one letter to that, okay? So then the second example of that is ta'ele. That's the singular form of shower, and my plural is ta'e'ele. Okay, ta'e'ele. Awesome. Then I also have tamoe. In this case, the double accented syllable is not next to the glottal. So this form I add another syllable, okay? So I add the mo again, so tamomoe, okay? Because the accented syllable isn't next to the glottal in this case, okay? And these two words, the accented syllable was next to the glottal, okay? But in this word here, tamoe, the glottal's down here, and that's not where the accented syllable is. The accented syllable was with the mo, okay? Awesome. So our last and final example of this is ngalue, and then the plural form of that is ngalulue, okay? Ngalulue. Awesome, and that is for work. Another form of pluralizing our verbs in Samoan is you add the word fe, okay? And so the only one that I'm giving you in this case is inu, so that is my singular form. That is for drink, and my plural form of drink is fe inu. There's also, if you wanted to use the word ita, okay? So ita is mad or hate, and if you wanted the plural version of that, that'd be fe itai, okay? So that you also add an I at the end, and there's that, okay? Awesome. So moving on to our third way of pluralizing verbs. And if you need to, stop the video whenever you need to and go over things again. Our third version of pluralizing, they have different forms, okay? And so we've already come across the first two. So alu, that is oatu, and sao is omai, okay? And the one that you haven't come across is for open is tatala, that's the singular form, and the plural form is talai, okay? So sometimes you'll have different forms, okay? And then our fourth way of doing it is you double the accented syllable or you lengthen the first vowel. So we talked about the doubling the accented syllable, but some cases you either just lengthen the first vowel, or some cases you lengthen the first vowel and you double the accented verb. So in this first example, I'm just lengthening the first vowel. So I have vala'au, and that is the singular version of call. And then I'm lengthening my first vowel in this plural form by saying vala'au. Do you note that I have a macron on my A now, okay? And that is how I lengthen my first vowel. I put a macron on top of it, and that gives it an extra emphasis, okay? These other two forms, okay, this tautala, that's the singular form of talk or speak. And this can either just have the lengthen the first vowel, and that's in this case, okay? Tautala, if I add an extra emphasis on that A, then that could be a plural form. Or I could do a plural form of doing both the adding the accented syllable and lengthening the first vowel. And so that's the second form here. I'm lengthening that first vowel again, and I'm adding another ta. So tautatala, okay? That is a form of doing it. And both of these are kind of equivalent, okay? They both are the plural versions of talk or speak, and you can use either, okay? Our third and final example that I'm giving you is mana'o, and this has the lengthening the first vowel and doubling the accented syllable, and that's manana'o. Awesome. So those are the first four ways to pluralize our verbs. There's also a fifth way, but this version we don't do anything. There's some verbs that have both a singular and plural form, okay? And this isn't a comprehensive list by any means. This will just give you a good start, and you need to memorize that a'oa'o, okay, that a'oa'o is both a singular and plural form of the word teach. And so is fa'atali, and faitau, and fasili, and fesosuani, and tali, and tatalo. These can be used with both singular subjects and plural subjects, okay? So, hopefully that makes sense. This is kind of just this box at the bottom is kind of just an English review. To make a noun plural, we add s, okay? and to make a verb plural, we take away the S, okay? So girl and girls for the top part, I add a S to make a noun plural, but to make a verb plural, we take away the S, and that shows you in he talks. That's the singular way of doing it. And they talk, okay? So this is verb subject agreement again. So I have a singular subject, and I have a singular verb, okay? And then I have a plural subject, and I have a plural verb, okay? So I need to use both a singular subject and a singular verb, or I need to use a plural subject with a plural verb, okay? Awesome. Okay, moving on to some example sentences, you'll note that we use plural forms of verbs as well as subjects, okay? In each one of these English sentences, I have a plural subject. So we, right here, that is a plural subject. Gosh, can't get onto it. We, that's a plural subject, okay? So I also need to use a plural verb with that. In English, love would agree with that, okay? Well, in Samoan, I have imato for we, that's a plural form. So I use a plural version of the word love, and that's alolofa, okay? Those two things need to agree with each other. The subject that's plural needs to have a subject or a verb that's plural as well, okay? So I'm not going to go over the whole sentence, but I think you should be able to have this sentence structure down by now. Okay, so if that doesn't make sense to you, go back and rewatch some of my intransitive and transitive videos. Awesome. So you'll note that I also have some other subjects and verbs that are plural. So I have these verbs that are plural forms of the verbs that we're talking about, because I'm using plural subjects, okay? So the boys, okay, the boys is a plural, okay? And they is a plural, so that's ila'ua, that's those two or they two. And the people slept, the people, I'm talking about multiple people. So those subjects that are plural need to have plural versions of verbs accompanying them. Okay? Awesome. So I encourage you to pause the video at this point, go over these example sentences, and come up with some of your own. And I promise you that as you do that, as you come up with your own sentences, that it will help you learn. Okay? Just remember, if I have plural verbs, if I have plural subjects, I need plural verbs as well. Or if I have singular subjects, I need singular verbs as well, okay? And the way that you learn this is you come across, you start reading, okay, that's a singular subject, so they use a singular form of that verb, okay? Or if I come across a plural subject, then I need to know what kind of verb they use, and I'll say, okay, that's a new kind of verb that I didn't know before, but I'll remember to use that next time I use a plural subject in that kind of verb, okay? So that's the way you build and learn new vocabulary, okay? Awesome. Now we're going to go to the adjective side of things, and the first way that we pluralize our adjectives is we double the accented syllable, and so the singular version of fat is la po'a, and the plural version of that is la popo'a. Okay, I doubled the accent. And then malosi is malolosi. Okay? And then poto is popoto. Okay? And then umi is uumi. And ma'i is mama'i. Awesome. Our second way of doubling the adjectives, or pluralizing the adjectives, if you will, is I lengthen the first vowel, so I have pa'e'e, and then the lengthening this vowel also has a double accented syllable in this version, okay? So it kind of takes on this principle as well, okay? So it both lengthens the first vowel, and it has a double accented syllable. So this is pa'e'e, okay? Pa'e'e is the plural version of skinny. Then I have valea, and then I have valelea, okay? So that also has this kind of principles with it as well. Awesome. Moving on to our third there's some exceptions to these rules. I have my singular version of short, which is pu'u pu'u, and the plural is pupu'u. It's actually shorter. The plural version of short is actually shorter than the singular version of short, okay? And this is just one of those exceptions, and you'll have to take note of some of those as well. And this is la iti iti, but I'm going to stop you right there. I actually got made fun of in my first area for saying it like that. Just say laititi, okay? They slur it. Laititi is the single version of small, and the plural version is laiti, okay? So those are some things that you need to work on. And our fourth and final way to pluralize is actually doing nothing at all. There's some forms that are singular and plural, okay? And in these cases, those words are, and this isn't comprehensive, again, this doesn't have all of them, but this is just a beginning intro to those. So this is fo, this is tuai, this is sase, this is lei, and leanga. So these kinds of verbs are both singular and plural, and I can use them with singular subjects as well as plural subjects. Okay, moving on, I'm going to give you some more example sentences. You'll note that these have both plural subjects as well as plural adjectives, and some of you even have plural verbs. Okay, so in this first one, the strong boys went. Okay, my subject boys, that's plural, and this is a plural version of that verb. Okay, so I use the plural version of went or go in this case to match or to agree with my plural version of boys, tama, okay? And then I use an adjective here, which is malolosi, and that's the plural version of strong, okay? So not only did I have a plural adjective, which is what's circled right now, I also had a plural verb, went, which is oatu, okay? So you need to have this subject, verb, and adjective agreement. If you use singular subjects, then you use singular forms of verbs and adjectives, and if you use plural subjects, if you use plural subjects, you need to use plural verbs and adjectives as well. Okay? So I'm not going to give you all of these. I want you to pause the video and try to come up with these sentences on the left on your own without looking on the right. I believe that will help you try to learn this concept better than me just talking to you as you're doing it yourself, and then you'll be able to check. And then I also encourage you to, after you get these done, to go on and try to make your own, and also to try to read some books and things and see how they pluralize their verbs and adjectives with plural subjects. And when they have singular ones, it's just the normal form. It's the singular form of those adjectives and verbs. Okay, until next time, guys, keep working hard and good luck. Tofa soifua.